All right, friends, welcome back to another episode of Keeping Your Real Estate Business on Track. Today, we're zoning in on Brevard County and how you can get the pricing piece right, whether you're listing a home or coaching someone who is. If you've got a listing that's coming up or you're writing offers and want to understand how pricing impacts everything, stick around. So I'm here today with Nick Hall from the Selling 321 team powered by EXP. How are you, Nick?
I'm doing great. How are you, Lindsay?
I'm great. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Today is a very hot topic for us because we've got a lot of business partners and clients that tune into the podcast, and they are kind of stumped as far as what's going on with pricing and strategies here in Brevard County.
Sure.
So, being the expert in the area, first I wanted to know, how did you end up in Brevard County? Because you're from Ohio originally, right?
From Ohio, that's right. Cincinnati, to be specific. Like a few people, or many people, I found Florida through vacation. I came on vacation, actually to Indian River County in Sebastian. I was here for 2 weeks, and 30 days later, I moved here full time. That was 2009, and then moved to Brevard County in 2021. So I've been up here just a few years.
Awesome. So as an agent that's not from the area, who stumbled upon the area and fell in love with it, you can speak to that with your clients.
100%. Many conversations we've had about that. Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of conversations with your clients, the hot topic right now is pricing strategies. Would you agree?
100%.
So we've got some questions that we've put together based on some feedback from our partners. And the first one was, what's one pricing mistake that you see most often in Brevard County right now?
That's a good question. So the number one mistake, I think, is overpricing. We're coming out of a season of being able to generate multiple offers very quickly and easily. And there was a period where we could put just about any price on a house and it's going to sell, right? That shift from where we were to where we are, there's a lag time, whether you're in the buyer's market or the seller's market, there's a lag time on the other party where they come to reality. Sellers are still, some, not all, but some sellers are still kind of stuck in that this is what my house would have sold for in 2021 or 2022 or even 2023. And we've seen a decline since then. So it's just not the case. And what happens is, you overprice a house in today's market, in any market, but especially today's market, that house is going to likely sell for less than actual market value.
Mm-hmm. So if I'm hearing you correctly, it's getting the perception of what the market is to meet the reality of what the market is.
100%.
So how are you determining what the right price is in our market? Do you have any data or trends that you analyze to help you come up with that strategy?
Sure. Yeah. So I feel a little uniquely positioned because I have been selling real estate for 22 years. And just a few years back, I got my registered trainee appraiser's license. So when I go look at a property and I start pulling comps, I'm looking from both the how can we market the property for the highest exposure, the maximum price, but also looking at how can I set us up so we don't have an appraisal issue, or using both sides of that brain to really try to cover the entire spectrum of pricing. Obviously, comps, we as agents all know how to comp property. In an actively declining or in a shifting market, the anticipating where we're going next can be one of the biggest challenges. I like to look at buying trends. So when we're looking, because different communities will have bigger pops throughout different times of the year. So I'll pull 2 to 3 years worth of data and actually bring kind of a graphic chart to my seller and show them these are the most popular times that we've seen historically. On the heels of the post-COVID era, of course, everything got a little jumbled. We went from seasonal to annualized market. We didn't really have seasons for a few years. So it can be a little, it's not exact. It is more of an art than a science at this point. But we try to take in buying patterns, buying timeframes, days on market from the last 30, 60, 90 days, and then comparing that to a year to 2 years ago, and just kind of get that overall trend, and then have that honest conversation with the seller and see what's going to make the most sense.
I love that. So Nick's got that analytical and the creative brain all mixed into one. So double threat, Nick Hall from Selling 321, powered by EXP. So you had mentioned having the data and having the trends to show people. But if a homeowner says, I want to list at X because I need to get Y, and that's not necessarily the pricing reality, how do you get them to come to that pricing reality?
So that's definitely a conversation, and usually more than one conversation. And, I think empathy is huge in any business, in any life interaction, honestly. The more people know, my very first mentor in real estate actually taught me this. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So, I start with, I completely understand that. I've been in a situation like that myself, so I can speak to that. I've lived it. And then really just, it comes down to an honest conversation about, why are you moving? Why now? What's the next step? If you're buying something else, the good news is what you might lose here, you're gaining in negotiation on that side. Your house is worth potentially less than you paid for it right now, but so is everybody else's. So we're going from a loss to a gain, and sometimes that's actually even better. Sometimes that ends up being a win for the seller, who then becomes a buyer. If it's an investment property or something of that nature, we also look at, if you've made money on the property, it may not be as much of a loss as you think. And just, it really comes down to the why behind the move.
Yeah, it's so powerful. I think there's like a whole podcast or movement on that. Simon Sinek, Start with the Why. Yeah. Very powerful. And I love the leading with empathy piece, because if people understand that you know where they're coming from, they just want to be heard and to be understood so that they can make solid decisions on their financial investments and their financial future.
Exactly.
I love that. So for agents that are helping sellers and buyers, what pricing tip would you give them today that many are not currently doing? Or is there anything that they're not currently doing?
Well, oh gosh, good question. The negative part of it is don't overprice, right? The positive part of that would be price at or just under what you think or what everybody comes to terms on as fair market value. I'll give you 2 examples, actually. So we have a listing. They'll remain nameless to protect the innocent or guilty, you decide. So we have one in a particular area, very sought after, great little area. The house needs some love. And the seller is really trying to maximize their price. Totally understand that, right? It's a big financial move. However, the numbers just don't support it, and the showings, the feedback hasn't supported it. The number of people walking through the door and not making an offer hasn't supported it.
My favorite thing Joe says is the math isn't mathing.
The math isn't mathing. Yes, exactly. And when you have 20 to 30 boots on the ground coming through that door and you don't have it under contract, it's a big telltale sign. So that property's been sitting for the last 6-7 weeks. Compare that to another listing we have where the seller wanted, for their own personal reasons, because again, very personal thing, right? Everybody's situation is different and every motivation is different. This particular seller wanted as few showings as possible. There's some health things going on. We could have listed the house a bit higher and still gotten under contract pretty quickly, but we priced it just a little under where we all thought this is probably a fair price. We had multiple offers in 48 hours, got it under contract. We had very few showings, and it met the needs of the seller, but also got them exactly what they wanted, not a penny less. And we're even closing early, so we'll close at the end of October
That's awesome. That's how you move a house.
That's how you move a house.
Awesome. So the most important and my favorite and the last question for today is, what is your favorite local go-to place, whether it's to hang out, whether it's food, whether it's beverage? You tell me.
You set me up for this.
It's my favorite fun question.
You know what I'm going to say?
I have an idea.
I have an idea. Tony, this one's for you. So a lot of my clients and my friends and anyone I do business with really knows that you can find me almost every day at one of the locations of Island Route Kava Bar. I
Island
don't
root.
drink alcohol. I haven't for many years. And kava, I found so many good friends, like real friendships,
Yeah.
yours included. It's become my family. My real family's in Cincinnati, with the exception of my parents. Very glad to have them here. But it's become such a big part of my life. So it's also become my second office, where I get a lot of work done and help a lot of people in the community too when it comes time to move. And there are many locations, from EGAD to downtown to Satellite Beach to Sebastian.
So you can work from anywhere.
Work from anywhere.
And thank you for the Wi-Fi, Island Root.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. We appreciate you being a wealth of knowledge with all of your experience and making it hyper-local to Brevard County. So
Love it. Thanks for having me.
You. Awesome. So for those of you that haven't joined us before, I hope you got something from this podcast. Like, subscribe, and share with a friend that you think might benefit from it. Have a great day.